Hey everyone, I was in the process of making this part of a larger video, but I think this topic in particular deserves its own focus. For context, my Souls-like template project uses Unreal Engine 5 mannequins for the animations for the players, so I just went to change the player model to one using the Unreal Engine 4 skeleton, and this is how it appeared. Pretty hilarious looking, but it did raise an issue, so I spent that day testing for the quickest way to convert this over. Obviously, the absolute best quality results will be achieved by manually re-rigging this mesh to the Unreal Engine 5 skeleton in something like Blender. That's option one. The second option theoretically offers better performance, that is, retargeting each animation individually, which can be done quickly itself, but potentially involves a ton of chasing animation references. Not a big deal, you just change them as you find the ones that squish your character, but I want to offer the quickest, simplest way to get this going. So the third option sacrifices potential performance and quality, but definitely is the easiest, and that is dynamic retargeting in the animation blueprint. So go to the folder you have your existing animation blueprint in and create a new one based on the Unreal Engine 4 skeleton. I'll call mine ABP player UE4 retarget. All we need to do in there is right click and create a retarget pose from mesh node and plug it in to the output here. Click on the node and select the UE5 to UE4 retarget asset. If you don't have one, or it's not in a folder you want to keep around, you can import the third-person preset by right-clicking in the content browser and selecting Add Feature or Content Pack. So this node basically takes the current pose from a reference mesh and retargets it during runtime. That means we need to go to the player character, make sure the mesh is set to a UE5 mesh, like Manny, then add a new skeletal mesh component with your desired mesh using the UE4 skeleton, and set the animation blueprint to the UE4 one we just made. Finally, set the Manny mesh to not visible. I like this method because it's quick, simple, and you don't even need to mess with the sockets for weapon holding. Maybe little tweaks, but they're carried over. And I know it's obvious here, the proportions are a little weird, but that's just how the new mannequin versus the old one is. The old one had much broader shoulders, so any mesh built off of that will look squished with Unreal Engine 5 animations. Of course, you could always add transform nodes in the original animation blueprint, so I'll give you an example. Again, this is the original blueprint, not the new one. In my case, I already have a transform node, but as you can see, you just need to use a local to component node, then you can add a transform node, then you need the inverse component to local node. So in the transform node, you just specify what you want observed out of translation, rotation, and scale. In this case, we want add to existing for rotation, and 2 nodes for left and right clavicle. So of course, the bone to modify will be clavicle underscore L and clavicle underscore R. The cool thing is, once you have all this set and compile, you will be able to select the node and modify the bone in the viewport, which will reflect back to the node. So we want somewhere between 10 and 30, positive and negative for each, which I experiment here with a bit, but you get the idea that you can tweak the general pose of the mesh here and whatever bones you want as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I tried to keep this as concise as possible. Hopefully this was helpful. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.